So when you've had bowel cancer, they tend to test you for 5 years after your treatment, and so I don't even get that many tests anymore either because I'm past the 5-year mark. Screw you, cancer. Stop.
Hi, I'm Anna, a scientist.
Hi, I'm Sarah, a comedian.
We're going to be answering your most searched questions about bowel cancer.
Oh,
Here they are.
there we go.
Okay, right. What is bowel cancer? It's a cancer that starts in your large bowel or your colon and your back passage or your rectum. It's also called colorectal cancer.
Is bowel cancer curable?
Okay, so when diagnosed at the earlier stage, around 9 in 10 people in England will survive their disease for at least 5 years. However, when diagnosed at the later stage, this drops to around 1 in 10. So it's really important. Our researchers are working on developing new ways to diagnose the disease at an earlier stage when treatment's most likely to be successful.
One of the bigger threats around bowel cancer is embarrassment. People don't come forwards quickly enough when they start to notice the symptoms. And actually that's when you're most likely to have the best outcomes. So I would just say, don't let embarrassment be the reason you don't go to the doctor as soon as you're seeing any of the symptoms of bowel cancer. So what are researchers doing about bowel cancer? Okay. I would really like to know this actually. What are you doing?
This is a really tricky one actually, because
Okay.
there's so much pioneering research going on. So Cancer Research UK is actually the largest funder of bowel cancer research in the UK.
Amazing.
Our research has been working for over 100 years towards beating the disease. So step by step, day by day, they're discovering new ways to prevent, diagnose and treat bowel cancer that will save lives.
100 years is amazing. Next question. What?
That's definitely not giving anything away. What causes bowel cancer? Our risk of developing bowel cancer depends on lots of different things, including our age, our genetics, and other things like what we eat. Cancer Research UK has shown that we can reduce our risk of developing bowel cancer by eating a high fibre diet, eating less red and processed meat, and keeping a healthy weight. But it's not usually possible to know for certain what caused any individual case of cancer.
Is bowel cancer hereditary?
So there are some inherited conditions and syndromes that can increase your risk of developing bowel cancer, like Lynch syndrome. So our researchers are actually working on a project called LynchVax to help reduce people with Lynch syndrome's risk of developing bowel and other cancers using a vaccine.
That's amazing. Isn't science amazing?
It is incredible.
That's great. Oh, I love this.
What is the first sign of bowel cancer?
There is no first sign. The symptoms of bowel cancer don't happen in a particular order. They might happen all at once, or you might have one of any of them.
Factors to look out for include blood in your poo, a change in your bowel habit, pain in your tummy, unexplained weight loss, which is losing weight when you don't intend to, and also some people are fatigued as well.
So I had like blood in my poo and then it went away again, and then it came back, and then it was coupled with a change in bowel habit and fatigue. So yeah, it's just a case of keeping vigilant about all those things. What does a colonoscopy feel like?
So this is where a doctor will put a sort of long, flexible tube with a camera on the end up your back passage and take images, pictures inside your bowel, and also samples as well to check for things like bowel cancer.
I have had multiple colonoscopies, and I have to say they've always been fine. Obviously it's not fun, I'd rather go to a theme park, but it is the best way to spot bowel cancer. That's how my bowel cancer was found. These people are doing them day in, day out, so they don't feel the embarrassment that you feel around it, and you can get a sedative if you have someone to take you home afterwards. What is bowel cancer treatment like? I had what's called a bowel resection. They took out the bit of my bowel that had the cancer in it and then sewed the two ends back together, and then chemotherapy. But I'm really aware that's not a one-size-fits-all case.
So it really depends on your individual cancer.
Why are more young people getting diagnosed with bowel cancer? Because I was relatively young when I got diagnosed.
So Cancer Research UK statistics show that around 5 in 100 cases of bowel cancer in the UK occur in people that are under 50.
When I first reported blood in my poo to my GP, they just didn't look into it because they thought I was too young, and I think I was in my 20s at the time. I think we have this view that it is still an old person's disease, which we need to start maybe breaking down a little bit and questioning, because it clearly is no longer the case.
But it is true that the number of cases of bowel cancer in people under 50 are increasing. That's why we're supporting researchers to try to get to the bottom of this, to understand who's at risk and find better ways to prevent and treat bowel cancer in younger people.
How are researchers improving bowel cancer treatment?
So something our researchers are doing is using these fascinating things called organoids, 3D mini organs that they grow in the lab, and they can help them study how different cells interact with each other and also test and develop new treatments as well. So sort of using these tiny little models to develop kinder and more targeted treatments for bowel cancer.
So it's like a synthetic creature.
Kind of, yeah. They look really cool when you see these photos of them. They're kind of like all different colours where they've like lit them up and then looked at them down a microscope.
Can I see one?
I do have a photo of one that we can share.
I need to see one immediately.
I think.
Yeah.
So it's obviously dyed different colours so they can
Does
see
it
on the
move?
microphone. Not of its own accord.
Ah, little organoid friend, saving us all from bowel cancer. It's like living in a sci-fi movie, but where we're just eradicating cancer with all this great research, rather than having an apocalypse. It's great. Yeah, preferred. Thank you so much. It's fascinating and kind of reassuring to know that these great strides are being made in this area.
Yeah, and all the research is happening. It's been so valuable hearing your experience and you sharing your personal story as well. I'm sure lots of people will love to hear that story.
Thank you, I hope so.